Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! As the bedroom door opened with a soft creak, Casey held his breath, his anxiety building. His gaze fixed on the shoebox in his mother's hands, where a stunning array of lipsticks in every shade of the rainbow peeked out like hidden treasures. "I stumbled upon these while tidying your room." His mother's voice was calm, almost tender, as she studied the collection. Her words hit Casey like a punch. He could feel the blood rush from his face as he realized his secret was unveiled. Being 32 and living with his mother temporarily, after a painful breakup, he had hoped his hidden passion would stay hidden. A mix of fear and embarrassment raced through him as he pictured his extensive collection of lipsticks, each carefully selected over 3 long years, with shades ranging from subtle nudes to vibrant crimsons. This was his sanctuary, an escape from the pain of the outside world. But now, his refuge was exposed. "I can explain," he stammered, tugging nervously at the sleeve of his navy blue hoodie. Elaine placed her hand over his. "There's something I never told you, Casey. Before you were born, before I married your father, I was a professional makeup artist. I worked with models, photographers. I was even flown to Paris twice for Fashion Week." Casey stared at her, mouth slightly open. "You never mentioned that. Not once in 32 years. When I became pregnant with you, I put that life behind me. Your father preferred I focus on being a mother." She sighed, a flicker of something, regret perhaps, crossing her face. "But I never stopped loving it. Sometimes I still watch tutorials online when your father's not home." She reached for another lipstick, a deep burgundy, and twisted the base to reveal the pristine, unused color. "You haven't tried any of these, have you?" Casey shook his head, embarrassed. "I just collected them. I loved the colors, the packaging. It felt like owning little pieces of art." "Would you like to learn how to use them properly?" The question hung in the air between them, an unexpected doorway opening where Casey had expected only walls. He studied his mother's face for any sign of mockery or hidden agenda, but found only genuine warmth. "Yes," he whispered finally. "I would." That evening, after his father had left for his weekly poker game, Elaine transformed her bathroom into an impromptu makeup studio. Casey sat perched on a stool, nervously fiddling with the hem of his navy hoodie as his mother laid out an array of brushes, sponges, and products he didn't recognize. "The secret to a perfect lip isn't just the color," Elaine explained, her voice taking on a professional quality Casey had never heard before. "It's the preparation, the precision of application, and finding the right shade for your coloring." She worked methodically, first applying a balm to his lips, then lining them carefully with a neutral pencil. Casey watched in the mirror as his mother's hands moved with practiced confidence, feeling both vulnerable and strangely at peace. "You have a beautiful lip shape," Elaine noted, studying his face critically. "We'll start with something classic. This red will pop nicely against your fair skin and auburn hair." When she finished applying the crimson lipstick, Casey hardly recognized himself. His lips looked fuller, more defined, and the vibrant color brought a warmth to his face that made his green eyes seem brighter. "What do you think?" Elaine asked, stepping back to admire her work. Casey touched his lower lip gently, afraid to smudge her perfect application. I look beautiful," she finished for him, squeezing his shoulder. simply beautiful. Over the next few weeks, these after-dinner makeup sessions became their secret ritual. Casey learned the fundamentals: foundation, contouring, eye makeup, and, of course, lip techniques. His collection of lipsticks became their palette, each shade bringing different aspects of his features to life. One evening, as Elaine was demonstrating how to create a smoky eye, she paused, brush in midair. "You know, Casey, makeup is only half the story. Have you ever thought about what you'd wear with this look?" Casey hesitated. The truth was, he had imagined it many times. "Sometimes," he admitted cautiously. Elaine disappeared into her bedroom and returned with a black cocktail dress, simple but elegant. "I kept some of my favorite pieces from my younger days. We're about the same height, and you've always had my slender build. Would you like to try it?" 20 minutes later, Casey stood before the full-length mirror in his mother's bedroom, hardly breathing. The black dress hugged his frame in a way that felt inexplicably right. Elaine had helped him pad the bodice slightly to create a subtle curve, and the hemline fell just above his knees, showcasing legs that, even he had to admit, looked surprisingly good. "Wait," Elaine said, disappearing again only to return with a pair of black heels. "These were always a bit big on me. Try them." The shoes fit perfectly, adding 3 inches to his height and changing his posture entirely. With the red lipstick, smoky eyes, and his auburn hair styled to softly frame his face, Casey saw someone in the mirror he'd never met, but somehow always known. "Dana," he whispered, without thinking. Elaine looked at him questioningly. "If I were a woman," Casey explained, feeling a blush rise beneath his foundation, "I think I'd be Dana." A smile spread across Elaine's face. "Dana," she repeated, testing the name. "It suits you. You look stunning, Dana." The name fell over him like a silk shawl, comfortable and natural. In that moment, with his mother looking at him with such acceptance, something locked deep inside Casey's chest began to open. "Stay right there," Elaine instructed, rushing to find her phone. "I need to capture this." The impromptu photo shoot that followed was liberating. Elaine directed Dana through a series of poses, genuine excitement in her voice as she captured image after image. "These are magnificent," she exclaimed, scrolling through the photos. "You're a natural model. Your bone structure, your expressions. It's like you were meant for this." Later that night, after the makeup had been carefully removed and the dress hung back in Elaine's closet, Casey lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Dana hadn't disappeared with the makeup and clothes. She lingered like a perfume, impossible to ignore now that she'd been acknowledged. The next morning, over coffee, Elaine showed Casey her laptop screen. "I've been thinking about starting a makeup blog for years, sharing techniques, reviewing products. These photos of you, of Dana, they're exactly what I need to launch it. Professional quality showcases of my work." Casey's eyes widened. "You want to post those online?" "Only if you're comfortable with it," Elaine assured him. "We can crop them if you prefer, focus just on the makeup, or use a different name entirely." Casey considered it for a long moment. The idea of being seen as Dana, even anonymously, sent a thrill through him. "Use Dana," he decided. "But maybe not my last name, at least not yet." Elaine's blog, Elaine's Elegant Transformations, launched the following week. The initial posts featured close-ups of Dana's perfectly made-up lips, eyes, and skin, with detailed tutorials explaining Elaine's techniques. Response was immediate and overwhelmingly positive. "They love you," Elaine told Casey one evening, scrolling through comments. Several followers have specifically asked to see more full-face looks, and someone even inquired if you'd do outfit coordination posts. Casey, who had been experimenting with more of his mother's clothes when his father worked late, felt a flutter of excitement. "What do you think about that?" "I think," Elaine said, closing her laptop, "we need to expand your wardrobe." The shopping trip that weekend marked another turning point. In a boutique 3 towns over, where nobody knew them, Elaine helped Casey, now comfortably thinking of himself as Dana while dressed, select several outfits that complemented different makeup styles. A pale pink sweater dress to showcase nude lipstick tones, a deep emerald blouse that made her auburn hair shine, a royal blue evening dress that demanded a bold, glossy lip. "You have excellent instincts," Elaine complimented as Dana emerged from the dressing room in a cream-colored pencil skirt and burgundy top. "You're developing your own style already." By the time they returned home, the car trunk filled with carefully hidden shopping bags, the blog had gained another 100 followers. Elaine's expertise combined with Dana's photogenic features had created something special. As the weeks passed, their routine evolved. Twice a week, when Casey's father worked evening shifts, Dana would emerge. Elaine would photograph her in different looks, capturing the perfect images for upcoming blog posts. Casey found himself looking forward to these evenings with an intensity that sometimes frightened him. During one session, as Dana posed in a forest green wrap dress that matched her eyes perfectly, Elaine lowered her camera with a thoughtful expression. "You know," she said carefully, "you're happier as Dana. I can see it in every photo, in how you carry yourself." Dana's hand moved unconsciously to touch her auburn hair, which Casey had been growing out, claiming to his father it was for a man bun. The strands now reached past his shoulders, making the transformation to Dana even more seamless. "I am," she admitted. It was the first time she had acknowledged this truth aloud. "Have you thought about what that means?" Dana looked down at her hands, at the pale pink polish Elaine had applied earlier that evening. "Every day. But it's complicated. Dad would never understand. My job, my friends. One step at a time," Elaine said, raising the camera again. "For now, let's focus on this gorgeous metallic lip gloss I ordered. It'll look magnificent with that dress." The blog continued to grow, amassing a dedicated following that eagerly awaited each new post. Elaine's confidence soared as she rediscovered her passion for makeup artistry, and Dana blossomed under her mother's guidance and the anonymous appreciation of thousands of followers. One rainy Tuesday afternoon, Casey sat at his computer, finishing a graphic design project for a client. His phone chimed with a message from his mother. "Check the blog comments ASAP." Heart quickening, he navigated to the site and scrolled through the most recent post, Dana showcasing a dramatic evening look with a statement red lip against a black velvet cocktail dress. Among the usual compliments was a comment from a username he didn't recognize. "Is this the same model throughout your blog? The transformation is remarkable. I'm looking for fresh faces for our upcoming winter collection campaign. Please contact me if your model is interested in professional work." The comment included an email address from a well-known cosmetics brand. Casey's hands trembled as he texted his mother. "Is this real?" Her response came immediately. "Very real. I've already verified. They want Dana." That evening, after his father had fallen asleep in front of the television, Casey and Elaine sat at the kitchen table, speaking in hushed tones. "This could be a real opportunity," Elaine insisted. "Paid modeling work with a respected brand. The kind of chance I would have killed for at your age." "But how?" Casey asked, running fingers through his auburn hair, which now cascaded past his shoulders in natural waves. I can't just show up as Dana. They'd know! Elaine reached across the table and took his hands. No, they wouldn't. You haven't seen what I see. When you're Dana, you're completely transformed. Not just your appearance, but everything about you changes. Your posture, your expressions, even how you speak. But my legal name, my ID, models use professional names all the time, Elaine countered. We can figure out the paperwork later if this goes somewhere. But Casey, I need to ask you something important. She squeezed his hands. Is this what you want? Not just the modeling, but being Dana? The question hung between them, weighty with implication. Casey closed his eyes, searching for the answer he already knew. Yes, she whispered. More than anything. The following week was a flurry of preparation. Elaine responded to the cosmetics company, setting up a preliminary meeting via video call. They prepared a portfolio of Dana's best images, carefully edited to showcase her range and Elaine's skilled artistry. The morning of the call arrived, and Dana sat nervously before the computer, dressed in a cream-colored blouse that complemented her fair skin and auburn hair. Her makeup was flawless, professional but not overdone, emphasizing her natural beauty while demonstrating the cosmetics line's potential. You look perfect, Elaine assured her, adjusting a strand of Dana's hair. Just be yourself. The video call connected, revealing a stylish woman in her 40s with sleek black hair and modern glasses. She introduced herself as Victoria Lynn, creative director for the cosmetics brand. Dana, Victoria greeted with a warm smile. Your work with Elaine has caught our attention. The way you showcase our products is exactly the fresh approach we're looking for. The conversation flowed more easily than Dana had expected. Victoria asked about her background, her experience, and her interest in modeling. Dana answered carefully, keeping her responses truthful while omitting details of her dual life. We're looking for diverse faces for our winter campaign, Victoria explained. Models who represent various skin tones, ages, and styles. Your look, particularly with that stunning auburn hair, fills a niche we've been trying to cast for weeks. By the end of the 30-minute call, Victoria had offered Dana a trial photo shoot the following month, with the potential for a contract if the results matched their expectations. After disconnecting, Dana turned to Elaine, eyes wide with disbelief. They want me. They actually want me. Of course they do, Elaine said, hugging her tightly. You're beautiful, photogenic, and a natural in front of the camera, but now we have some decisions to make. The biggest decision loomed large. Casey's father. He remained completely unaware of Dana's existence, of the blog's success, of everything that had transpired over the past 3 months. He needs to know, Dana said firmly. Before this goes any further, it's not fair to keep hiding this from him. Elaine nodded, though concern creased her brow. You're right, but let me talk to him first. Prepare him a little. The opportunity came sooner than expected. That weekend, as they sat finishing dinner, Casey's father, Robert, mentioned a coworker whose son had recently come out as gay. Times sure have changed, he remarked, setting down his fork. When we were young, people kept that sort of thing private. Elaine exchanged a quick glance with Casey. And you think that was better? People hiding who they truly are? Robert shrugged. I don't know. Just seems like everyone's announcing something these days. Hard to keep up with all these new identities. People haven't changed, Robert, Elaine said carefully. They've always existed. They just weren't allowed to speak their truth.
Maybe so,
He conceded, then looked at his son.
What do you think about all this, Casey?
Casey set down his water glass, heart pounding. I think everyone deserves to live authentically.
Well, sure,
Robert agreed easily.
as long as they don't make a big spectacle about it.
Elaine took a deep breath. Robert, there's something you should know. I've restarted my makeup artistry career. Robert looked surprised but not displeased. Have you now? Is that why all those packages have been arriving? Yes, partly. I've started a blog, actually. It's becoming quite successful. Well, good for you, he said, seeming genuinely pleased. Always said you were talented. There's more, Elaine continued, her voice steady. Casey has been helping me. Robert looked at his son curiously.
How so? Built you a website?
Casey felt a lump form in his throat. I've been modeling for her. For the blog. A moment of confusion crossed Robert's face.
Modeling? You mean like demonstrating men's grooming products?
No, Dad, Casey said, meeting his father's eyes. Modeling makeup. Women's makeup. I've been posing as a woman named Dana. The silence that followed seemed to stretch for eternity. Robert's expression cycled through confusion, disbelief, and something unreadable.
Is this some kind of joke?
He finally asked. Elaine reached for her phone. It's not a joke, Robert. She pulled up the blog, scrolling to a full-body image of Dana in the royal blue evening dress, her auburn hair cascading over one shoulder, lips glossed to perfection. Robert stared at the image, then at Casey, then back at the phone. That's you. Casey nodded, unable to speak. He's beautiful, isn't he? Elaine said softly. She's beautiful. As Dana. Robert pushed back from the table and stood, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. Without a word, he walked out of the dining room. Moments later, they heard the front door close. Give him time, Elaine advised, reaching across to squeeze Casey's hand. This is a lot to process. Robert didn't return until late that night. Casey, unable to sleep, heard his father's heavy footsteps on the stairs and the quiet murmur of his parents' voices behind their closed bedroom door. The conversation lasted over an hour. The next morning, Robert found Casey in the kitchen, brewing coffee. Your mother showed me the blog, he said without preamble. All of it. Casey turned slowly to face him, bracing for rejection.
You look like her mother,
Robert said, his voice rough with emotion.
Your grandmother. Something about the eyes, especially with that auburn hair. She had the same color.
Of all the reactions Casey had anticipated, this comparison wasn't one of them.
Really?
Robert nodded, pouring himself a cup of coffee.
She was a beautiful woman, strong too. Raised your mother alone after your grandfather passed.
They sat in silence for a few moments, the conversation hanging between them, unfinished but not hostile.
This modeling opportunity,
Robert finally said.
Your mother thinks you should take it.
What do you think? Casey asked, barely breathing. Robert stared into his coffee mug.
I don't understand this. Not really. But your mother says you're happier than she's seen you in years.
He looked up, meeting Casey's eyes.
Is that true?
Yes, Casey whispered. When I'm Dana, everything feels right. Robert sighed heavily.
Then, I suppose you should do what makes you happy. Just give me time, okay? This isn't how I imagined your life would go.
It wasn't unconditional acceptance, but it was a beginning. The fact that his father hadn't rejected him outright felt like a miracle. The weeks leading up to the photo shoot became a time of transformation. With both parents now aware, Dana no longer needed to hide at home. She began living as herself more openly, growing more confident with each passing day. Elaine helped her prepare extensively for the professional shoot, practicing poses, experimenting with different expressions, and refining her modeling techniques. They also faced practical considerations, paperwork that needed careful navigation, a professional backstory that was honest without revealing too much. "You don't owe them your entire history," Elaine assured her. "Many models have stage names and cultivated personas." The day of the shoot arrived crisp and clear. Dana wore a simple white blouse and jeans for the journey, her auburn hair pulled back in a low ponytail, minimal makeup highlighting her natural features. Elaine accompanied her for support, carrying a bag with additional styling essentials. The studio was located in a converted warehouse, all exposed brick and massive windows that flooded the space with natural light. Victoria greeted them warmly, introducing them to the photography team and the makeup artists who would create the campaign looks. "We'll start with some test shots to get you comfortable," Victoria explained, leading Dana to a dressing area. "Then move into the winter collection themes: Frost and Fire, Midnight Velvet, and Northern Lights." The first hour passed in a blur as Dana adjusted to the professional environment. The studio's lead makeup artist studied her face with professional appreciation.
"Your bone structure is amazing," he commented, applying a primer. "And this auburn hair against your fair skin, perfect for the Frost and Fire concept." By the time Dana emerged in the first campaign look, a dazzling interpretation of winter frost with crystalline highlights and a pale, shimmering lip, she felt transformed not just physically, but emotionally. This wasn't playing dress-up or hiding anymore. This was stepping fully into her authentic self. The photographer, a woman in her 50s with silver-streaked black hair, immediately connected with Dana's energy. "That's it," she encouraged, as Dana moved through various poses. "Let those eyes tell the story. The product is secondary to your expression." Victoria observed from behind the monitors, occasionally offering direction, but mostly watching with evident satisfaction. During a break, she approached Elaine. "Your daughter is a natural," she said. "There is an authenticity to her presence that can't be taught." Elaine didn't correct the assumption about their relationship, simply smiled with pride. "She's finding her true self in front of your camera." The day progressed through outfit and makeup changes, each look building on Dana's growing confidence. The Midnight Velvet concept featured dramatic smoky eyes and deep burgundy lips against a black velvet backdrop, while Northern Lights showcased iridescent color on both eyes and lips. By the final shots, Dana moved with the ease of someone who had found her place in the world. The camera captured not just her physical beauty, but the radiance of someone embracing her truth. "We'll need a few days to review all the images," Victoria told them as the shoot wrapped up. "But I can already tell you that we'll be offering Dana a contract for the full campaign. Your look has exactly the distinctive quality we've been searching for." The drive home was filled with excited chatter as they replayed moments from the shoot, discussing what had worked best and the techniques Dana had learned from the professional team. Arriving home, they found Robert waiting in the living room, pretending to watch television, but clearly anticipating their return. "How did it go?"
he asked, his discomfort still evident, but making an effort. "Dad," Dana said, unable to contain her smile. "They're offering me a contract, a real modeling contract." Robert nodded slowly, taking in his child's glowing face, the confidence in her posture that he'd never seen in Casey. That's wonderful news. Would you like to see some behind-the-scenes photos?" Elaine offered, holding up her phone. "I took quite a few." After a moment's hesitation, Robert nodded. He listened as they scrolled through images, explaining the different concepts and techniques. If he wasn't fully comfortable yet, he was trying, and for now, that was enough. Later that night, Dana stood before her mirror, carefully removing the last traces of professional makeup. The face that emerged was still transitional, not fully Casey anymore, but Dana in her most natural state. She ran fingers through her auburn hair, appreciating how it framed her face, how right it felt to see this reflection looking back at her. Her phone chimed with a message from Victoria. "Preliminary edits look spectacular. Contract details coming tomorrow. Welcome to the team, Dana." Dana smiled at her reflection. The journey ahead would have challenges, legal name changes, potential medical decisions, and the ongoing navigation of relationships with family, friends, and colleagues. But for the first time, the path forward was clear. What had begun with a discovered shoebox of lipsticks had become the catalyst for Dana's emergence into the world. Those 20 luxury lipsticks, once hidden treasures, had unlocked the door to her authentic life. She picked up her favorite shade, the classic red that had been the first color Elaine applied during those initial secret sessions. Carefully, she traced it across her lips one last time before bed, a private celebration of how far she had come. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and opportunities. For tonight, it was enough to know that Dana was finally, truly herself, radiantly visible, brilliantly authentic, and ready to face the world in full color. Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!